Welcome to How to Play Horus Heresy 3rd edition. In today's video, we are going to explain and discuss the Charonite Ogryns of the Solar Auxilia. During the empire-shattering darkness of the Age of Strife, all of mankind's sciences and technologies were turned to crafting of weapons and devices of truly terrifying design. And such was the potency of many of these systems that they would last even into the times of the Great Crusade and its monstrous sequel, the Horus Heresy. One such creation is the Charonite Ogryn, an alchemically and cybernetically modified variant of the stable Ogryn mutant strain. Charonites are psychologically and biologically mutilated creations designed for one purpose: tearing apart the enemies of its masters with as much brutality and efficiency as possible. Considered tech heresy by the adepts of the Mechanicum, the Imperial household saw fit to allow their limited deployment among the massed ranks of the Solar Auxilia and the Exertus Imperialis. Living battering rams of flesh and metal, Charonites are driven into a battle frenzy through their augmentations and a cocktail of potent drugs and stimulants. Unleashed upon enemies as line breakers and shock assault troops, particularly in Zone Mortalis engagements, even the vaunted ranks of the Astartes know that to face a Charonite section head-on means certain death. If you are looking for other videos on how to play the game, then you can find them all on the channel in a dedicated playlist. And if this video helps you, then please give it a like. Consider sharing it with a fellow Heresy player, and let me know how you are enjoying the rules of the new edition. You could also consider joining the Hopeless Heresy Legion by subscribing and hitting the bell for more Horus Heresy goodness. You can unlock a Charonite Ogryn section for your army using a Heavy Assault Force Organisation slot. A standard section with no upgrades consists of 3 Charonite Ogryn models for 120 points. This unit is available only to Solar Auxilia forces. The full updated unit profile for the Charonite Ogryn section can be found in the Battle of Talarn Part 1 Journal Tactica. Charonite Ogryns are the Solar Auxilia's hardest hitting close combat troops, and one particularly suited to Zone Mortalis engagements. Each has a movement value of 7 and a weapon skill of 4. Ogryns are not known for their ranged accuracy and so only have a ballistic skill of 2. Although as Charonites do not come with any ranged weapons, this is unlikely to be an issue. They have a high strength and toughness of 5 and 4 wounds each. They have an initiative of 2, putting them at the lower end of the initiative scale. However, each Charonite has 4 attacks each, meaning a baseline section can bring 12 attacks into a melee. Charonites are driven forward through technological adaptation, drug-induced frenzy and sheer blind rage, so have a leadership of 12 and a cool of 10, meaning it will take only the most horrific of weapons or situations to break them. However, their other mental stats are incredibly low, with a willpower of 6 and an intelligence of 2. Finally, they have a 4+ saving throw, putting them in line with the majority of other Solar Auxilia troops. Already, this profile is very impressive, putting the Charonite on a similar footing to other elite or heavy assault units. They can be included in Solar Auxilia armies of both traitor and loyalist allegiances. They have the infantry skirmish subtype, meaning they follow all the standard rules for infantry. However, they maintain unit coherency at 3 inches instead of the normal 2. This allows you to place your models further apart from each other and still maintain unit coherency. Each Charonite Ogryn is armed with 2 Charonite claws as standard. You can add a further 6 Charonite Ogryns to your unit for a cost of 40 points per model. A full 9 Ogryn strong section with no further upgrades would cost 360 points. Each Ogryn can replace one or both of their claws with one of the following weapons: a Charonite Blade for 5 points, a Charonite Crusher for 10 points, or a Charonite Shredder for 5 points. You can upgrade each Charonite Claw to a different weapon each, and each Charonite Ogryn can have a different combination of weapons from its squad mates. This makes the Charonite Ogryn section incredibly versatile. Finally, Charonite Ogryns have a unique combination of special rules which makes them unique to how you use other Solar Auxilia units. First of all, Charonite Ogryns are heedless. This means that they do not interact with objective markers in any way. They cannot claim, score, or contest them. Essentially, Ogryns are too single-minded to even pay attention to objectives. Charonite Ogryns also have Bitter Duty. Bitter Duty means that command and specialist models can only join that unit if they also have the Bitter Duty special rule. Essentially, commanders find the unit too distasteful or dangerous to lead effectively. In practical terms, this means your command and specialist models cannot be attached to your Charonite Ogryns. Ogryns are bulky 4, meaning they take up 4 spaces in transport vehicles. For Zone Mortalis, it also means that they cannot move through any space with confined space 4 or less, and they cannot move through doorway 2. Ogryns also have expendable 2, which means your opponent scores less victory points for killing them. You lower the amount of points scored by the value of expendable down to a minimum of 1. So if I scored a Vanguard kill on an Ogryn unit, and my unit had Vanguard 4, I'd only score 2 points instead. If I had Vanguard 3, I'd only score 1. Ogryns also have Feel No Pain 5+. They are pumped full of so many drugs and stimulants that they can ignore even the most grievous of wounds. Feel No Pain is a damage mitigation save. This is a special save that kicks in if the model fails their normal saving throw, or their saving throw is completely bypassed by a high AP weapon. The damage mitigation roll is in addition to your regular save. For Charonite Ogryns, this is 5+. This is against both shooting and melee attacks. My Charonite Ogryns come under fire from an enemy Breacher squad. The Breachers score 10 hits with their bolters and score 5 wounds. I roll 5 saving throws of 4+. Unfortunately, I failed 2 of these. For these 2, I can now roll a damage mitigation save of 5+. I roll 2 dice and I score a 1 and a 6. One save is successful and stops the wound, but the other has failed and one of my Ogryns takes 1 damage. The Breachers also fire a Last Cutter at the Ogryns, which both hits and wounds. It has an AP of 2, so I would not get my normal saving throw against this. However, my Ogryns would still get their Feel No Pain 5+. I roll 1 dice and I score a 5. The Ogryns ignore the devastating laser blast and keep forging forward. Finally, Charonite Ogryns have the Impact A special rule. Impact is a special rule which increases one of your model stats when they make a successful charge move. For Ogryns, this is their attack stat. When a Charonite Ogryn makes a successful charge, each Ogryn model gains +1 attack for the turn that they charged. This gives each Charonite Ogryn 5 attacks on the charge. A charge is considered successful if the Ogryn's setup move gets them into base-to-base contact with the target unit in the charge subphase, or if the subsequent charge move does. Impact does not activate if the Ogryns are making a disordered charge. These special rules combine to make a unit that has one goal and one goal only: get into close combat with the enemy and kill them. Ogryns are not concerned with objectives or other friendly models. They simply want to charge the enemy, destroy them, and then charge another. This unit rewards very aggressive play, and even if cut down by the enemy, they are unlikely to sacrifice much in the way of victory points to your enemy. So right off the bat, Charonite Ogryns are an impressively brutal unit. But let's look at the weapons you can equip them with and the situations they are designed for. As mentioned, all standard Charonite Ogryns are armed with 2 Charonite Claws. These strike at the initiative of the Ogryn, which is 2, meaning they will quite likely strike last in combat. They do not add additional attacks to the Ogryn's profile, so will use their base attacks of 4 or 5 if successfully charging. Charonite Claws strike at strength 7, meaning they are wounding the majority of other models on a 2+. They have an AP of 3, which will instantly kill most normal Astartes, Solar Auxilia and Mechanicum troops with no chance of a saving throw. Each claw deals 2 damage for each successful wound, meaning they can easily tear apart Terminators and other 2-wound models with 1 failed save. Finally, the claws also have Breaching 5+, meaning any wound rolls of a 5 or a 6 will instead have an AP of 2, making Charonites incredibly dangerous even to models with a 2+ saving throw. Right away, this standard armament makes Charonites an exceptionally dangerous unit against infantry models and squads. Coupled with their naturally high attacks, they'll be tearing through standard troops and elites with ease. As mentioned, the Charonites can replace one or both of their weapons with a different weapon option. None of these weapons count as a pair, so do not offer any kind of benefit for keeping both weapons the same, so you should feel free to equip each Ogryn with a different combination in each hand to make them incredibly flexible. First up, we have the Charonite Blade. If the claw is for killing infantry, then the blade is for killing lots of infantry. It shines in very small units of Ogryns when they go up against much larger enemy squads. Similar to the claws, the blades offer no bonuses to initiative or attacks, and the strength is slightly lower at 5. This means you'll be wounding the majority of Astartes on a 3+. It is still AP 3, but with a lower damage characteristic of 1. The breaching special rule is also slightly worse at breaching 6+. However, the blade's ace in the hole is the special rule Reaping Blow 2. This special rule means that if the Ogryns are outnumbered in combat, each model with a blade will get an extra 2 attacks on top of their existing attacks. Reaping Blow uses the bulky X special rule when calculating if you are outnumbered. So an Ogryn counts as 4 models. If I have 2 Ogryns, they would count as a squad of 8, and if I had 3, they would count as a squad of 12. If you are in close combat with an enemy unit that has more models than you, then your blade-equipped Ogryns will get an extra 2 attacks. If they are not outnumbered, then they do not get the bonus attacks. Also remember to take into account the enemy's bulky X special rule as well. This is great when charging into large units of Solar Auxilia, militia, demons or tech thralls, who most of the time will outnumber your Ogryns. It is not as immediately effective as the claw, but does allow you to roll a lot more dice when attacking. Next we have the Charonite Crusher. This is the Ogryn's dedicated anti-armour weapon. It has a -1 initiative modifier, which means an Ogryn that uses it will strike at initiative 1. They will be dead last in any close combat. It also has a -2 attack modifier, meaning an Ogryn that uses it will only get 2 attacks in combat, or 3 if they successfully charge. However, the strength is immediately set to 10, with an AP of 2 and a damage of 2. This thing will tear apart most Terminators and vehicles with ease. The Crusher also has Armour Bane and Armour Breaker 4+, which are special rules which kick in when fighting in close combat with vehicles. Armour Bane means that any glancing hit caused by the Ogryn's Crusher will instead count as a penetrating hit. This means the Ogryn is much more likely to inflict damage on vehicles instead of simply causing statuses. When you successfully score a penetrating hit with a Crusher, roll a d6. On a roll of 4 or more, the hit will cause an additional point of damage, making the Crusher an impressive damage 3. This has no effects on wound tests though, only armour penetration tests. My 2-man Ogryn section successfully charges an enemy Land Raider. Each one of them is armed with a Charonite Crusher. In the subsequent combat, they will have 2 attacks each because of the Crusher's attack modifier, but then a bonus attack each thanks to the Impact A special rule. They will attack the Land Raider 6 times. I roll 6 dice, needing 2 pluses to hit the vehicle. I score 6 hits. Now I need to perform an armour penetration test for each successful attack. The Land Raider has a rear armour value of 14 and my Crushers are strength 10. When performing an armour penetration test, I roll a d6 for each attack and add my attack's strength. I would match the armour value on a 4 and exceed it on a 5 or a 6. Normally, this means that I would glance the vehicle on a 4 and penetrate on a 5+. However, Armour Bane means that my glances instead count as penetrating hits. I roll 6 armour penetration tests. I roll 2 1s, a 2, a 4 and 2 5s. 3 have failed and I discard these dice. 2 are penetrating hits and will inflict damage on the Land Raider. 1 is a glancing hit. However, as I have Armour Bane, this is also treated as a penetrating hit. At this moment in time, I am dealing 6 damage to the Land Raider. However, the Crusher also has Armour Breaker 4+. For each of the penetrating hits, I will roll the dice again, and if any score a 4 or more, then that attack will deal a bonus point of damage. I re-roll, scoring 1-1, a 4 and a 5. 2 of my attacks now become damage 3. I have successfully dealt 8 damage to the Land Raider. It is destroyed, and my Ogryns consolidate away looking for new victims. The final weapon is the Charonite Shredder, and this one is designed for consistent wounding of models with a toughness value. Same as the claw and the blade, it does not modify the Ogryn's initiative or attacks, and has a base strength of 6. It has the lowest AP of the Charonite's weapon options at AP 4 and a damage of 2. However, it also has 2 very complementary special rules, Shred 4+ and Rending 4+. Rending means that any of the Ogryns to hit rolls that score a certain amount will automatically inflict a wound, no wound test needed. For the Shredder, this is 4+, so any to hit rolls of 4+ will automatically inflict a successful wound. The wound roll, for all intents and purposes, counts as a 6 for the benefits of other special rules. The Shredder also has Shred 4+, which adds +1 to the damage characteristic of a wound roll that hits a specific value, in this case 4+. This means that if you roll a wound test and it scores 4 or more, then the wound is damage 3 instead of damage 2. This means that if you're attacking an enemy and you successfully hit with a score of 4+, then the wound is automatic and 3 damage. My 2 Charonite Ogryns armed with Charonite Shredders charge and attack an enemy Saturnine Dreadnought. Normally this would be a tall order even for an Ogryn, as the Dreadnought has a toughness of 8. I roll 10 attack dice and will need 4+ to hit the Dreadnought. I miss with 4 of my attacks and discard these dice. 6 of the attacks hit though, and as they are all over 4+, the rending ability kicks in. All of these attacks are automatic wounds on the normally unassailable Dreadnought. Furthermore, each attack has also triggered the Shred special rule, making each attack 3 damage each. There is a potential 18 damage heading the Dreadnought's way. The one major downside of the Shredder is its inability to get through armour, and the majority of models will still get their saving throw against its AP of 4, but what attacks do get through will certainly leave a mark. There is no benefit for an Ogryn carrying 2 copies of the same weapon, as they can only attack with 1 at a time. So for flexibility, it would be worthwhile to give each a combination of different weapons to handle different situations. As each model can only use 1 weapon in close combat, this gives you the broadest range of options, making the Charonites an incredibly tactically flexible unit. A 6 Ogryn strong squad, armed with a combination of all 4 weapons, will likely ruin the day of anyone they happen across. The Charonite Ogryn is an iconic and devastating unit for the normally long-ranged Solar Auxilia, and introduces a hard-hitting heavy assault option, as well as a fantastic modelling and painting opportunity. They are monsters in combat and will not flinch even in the face of overwhelming odds. And with more and more battles being fought in the nightmare confines of Zones Mortalis, there's never been a better excuse to add these behemoths to your army. And that is the fundamentals of the Charonite Ogryns. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all on the next video.